Hi, I'm Ian.
And I'm Jess. We're bike gearheads, and today we're going to be walking you through the Caledonia-5.
There'll be chapter timestamps down there for you to skip around as you'd like. Some of the things are brand new, and some of them carry over to the old Caledonia-5. And this bike is made for the big, stupid ride. So let's get into it.
Yeah, all right, Ian. So where does it fall in the Cervélo line?
The Caledonia is their endurance bike. So they've got their S5, which is their all out and out aero race bike for the sprinters. They've got their R5, which is the climbing bike. And then they've got the Caledonia-5. And that's for the all day ride, like I said. It's gonna be more upright, a little more compliant. I think endurance used to be kind of a bad word in the bike industry, but endurance bikes these days are awesome. So I think it's cool, and it's the bike that most people should be on. The 5 in Caledonia-5 stands for top of the line. So they have a regular Caledonia as well, but you're not gonna be getting the same features on that bike as you will on the Caledonia-5.
Okay, so you say endurance bike, but can we hear more about the backstory behind the Cal-5?
Yeah, so Cervélo is an engineering first company, and they make endurance bikes, but they want them to be very fast. So if you look at the bike behind us, it has a lot of aero tube shaping, especially the down tube and the head tube. So you can see those are a little bit longer, definitely gonna help you cheat the wind a little bit. It also has dropped seat stays, and that's for compliance. They did stiffen up the down tube a little bit, probably because of a new feature they have on there, but also to keep the performance up and the efficiency of the frame. When you put the power down, like you don't want to be flexing out the frame, so they made that a little stiffer in the down tube. And then this thing has massive tire clearance. So it's up to 36 millimeter tires, but it's definitely optimized for 30 millimeter to 34 millimeter tires. The one behind us has 30 millimeters, and that's what I've been riding around on, and it was awesome. Some of the roads here in Salt Lake City are a little rough, so 32s might have been nice. Could have run a little lower tire pressure, but yeah, you can go up to 34 and then boom, you can go up to 36, and you can even do a little bit of all road stuff if you want to. But this is not a gravel bike, this is definitely a road bike.
Okay, so what's the difference between the Caledonia and the Caledonia-5?
Yeah, so they definitely use some different carbon in the bikes, but the features that you can see are the all internal cables behind us. You do not see any cables anywhere. The regular Caledonia is gonna run the cables a little bit differently, use a little different stem and bar setup. This is gonna run them all internal. And then also this one has a new feature, in-frame storage, which we haven't been seeing on a lot of road bikes, but it was pretty awesome. But it's only made for your flat kit. You're not putting a huge burrito in there or anything like that. It's definitely not mountain bike in-frame storage, but this one's got in-frame storage, and we can go into that a little bit more.
What are the benefits of having the in-frame storage versus just having a saddlebag on the back with your flat kit?
Yeah, so it does a couple of things. I mean, having the in-frame storage down there makes the bike look real clean, super clean. It's not on the back, but also sometimes you can get sort of a waving motion. You can kind of feel that sometimes because it's weight that's really high on your bike. So when you're out sprinting or climbing, you can sometimes feel that weight up there. So it gets it out of the way. And then also this bike, like I said, is for the big, stupid rides, which are type 2 fun, but like a credit card tour I could think of. And it gives you space to put like a bigger saddlebag on the back. So if you wanted to put some more things in there, you don't have a flat kit on there to deal with. So that's what's really nice about the in-frame storage. Some other things about the in-frame storage are the door is flippable, so you can flip it around. When I went to put my bottle cages on this bike, I couldn't run 2 of them because they were hitting each other, and I was like, oh crap, like what the heck's going on? And I think if you purchase one at home, it'll probably come with it in the setting that was like that, where you can run one bottle really down low on the down tube, which is nice for being aero and having a low center of gravity. But if you want to run 2 bottles, which most people are going to want to do, you got to take that door off, flip it around, and it can be installed the other way. You put your bottle cages on there and you can run 2 bottles. The best bottle cages are ones that have a slidable mount. So some of them have like a slidable mount, or the Arundel cages that I'm running behind us here, the mandibles, they have a 2 positions. So you can put the screws in one hole or another screw and move it higher up on the frame or lower down on the frame.
Okay, that's sweet that it's super variable with the water bottle placement, but what are you actually keeping in there?
Yeah, so like I said, it's just your flat kit, but the hole on there is not all that big. I mean, the down tube's pretty large, but like the actual hole to get stuff in there is not that big. So I was like, how am I gonna do this? But Cervélo provides these 2 bags, which are awesome. You might look at them and be like, oh, what the heck? What's so cool about these bags? I'm gonna start with this bag. This bag is made specifically for the tube. So I had my flat kit in there, like I said. So I had a tube, I had 1 CO2, an inflator, a tire lever, and even a multi-tool.
Wow.
So the bag here you can see you have to fold the tube up in a very particular way, like this, and it actually gives you a little design here on the bag, like how to do it, which I followed. So that was kind of cool. And then this other bag for the tools and the inflator and all that stuff is 3 different pockets in here to keep them separated. And it has little tabs on each end that you can pull out the bag. But you can see I have this multi-tool here from Design. In the next little thing, I have the tire lever and the inflator. And then on the last one here, I have the 16-ounce CO2.
Can I feel how heavy?
Yeah.
Ooh, pretty light.
Yeah, so they organize your flat kit really nice in there. There's no rattling. Even with this tool, which is metal, it wasn't knocking against the down tube or anything. So, I don't know, I thought that was awesome. I didn't think I'd be able to get the flat kit in there, especially with the tool, but I was able to, so that was great.
Wow, it seems like Cervélo did a lot of thinking behind that, but obviously they're an engineering first kind of brand. So can you walk me through the nitty gritties on the geometry of the bike?
Yeah, so like I said, the geometry of this bike is going to be taller and longer, and that's just the way the endurance bikes are. I'm 5'9" with a 30-inch inseam, and I ride a 54. Pretty much in all Cervélo bikes, so it's nice to see that the sizing was consistent. The stack on the bike is going to be 555 millimeters, and the reach is going to be 378 millimeters, and this is unchanged from the original Caledonia-5. Just to do some comparison, the R5, which is their climbing bike, their racing climbing bike, is going to be 547 millimeter stack, and the reach is going to be 380. So it's going to be shorter, and it's going to be longer. So it just gives you a good comparison for the different geos. So some of the things I like to look at on these endurance bikes are gonna be the standover height, the trail, and the chainstay length. And those have to do a lot with the handling and the feel of the bike. The standover height on this one is unchanged from the previous version of the Caledonia-5, and that's gonna be at 784 millimeters, so they didn't do much to the top tube. They didn't make it more sloping or anything like that. The other 2 numbers are the trail and the chainstay length. And the reason I like to look at those is that has a lot to do with the cornering and the handling of the bike when you're descending and stuff like that. I didn't have trail numbers on the chart that Cervélo sent over to me before we did this video, but I did look at the other numbers, and it looks like they didn't really change it very much, so I can only assume that the trail on this bike is going to be 60 millimeters. As a comparison, the R5 is 57.3 millimeters. It doesn't seem like a huge change, but it really does change a lot with the way the bike handles. The R5, which is more of a race bike, would definitely dive more into corners, and you may have to correct in corners or go around corners a little bit tighter, when the Caledonia-5 behind us with that little longer trail is going to be more forgiving in turns, and it's going to hold a line a little bit better. So it feels really nice and stable on the descents. Chainstay length, very similar. It's 415 millimeters on the Caledonia-5. That's unchanged from the previous Caledonia, and like on an R5, it would be 410 millimeters. And that just changes your kind of your center of your turning, and with a shorter chainstay, you also dive into corners a little more. It's a little more responsive on the rear end. So with this being a little bit longer, it's definitely a little more stable in the turns, which was very nice. It's also very stable when you're just riding crosswinds. This bike felt really, really planted. I really liked that about it.
How was it when you were climbing?
When I was climbing, it definitely doesn't feel like a climbing bike. It is gonna definitely put the power down nicely. You're gonna be climbing, but you know, if you're trying to set a KOM, this would not be the bike for that. They make an R5 for that, or you know, we carry other bikes that would do that, but the bike's definitely gonna get up the hill, and it's gonna do it swiftly. It's just not gonna be as responsive when you get out of the saddle or when you really put the power down.
So would this bike be better for riding in the flats?
Yeah, I would say that this bike is definitely made for riding in the flats is a little better. I would say punchy, rolly terrain is really good with this bike. Anything that has sort of chunky roads, this thing is very, very comfortable. It absorbs the road chatter really well, and like I said, super stable.
Okay, so kind of going back to the geometry, you said a lot hasn't changed, so why would somebody want to get this bike over the old Caledonia? Like, who is this for?
I think that's a great question. The in-frame storage is an engineering feat for Cervélo. It's not easy to do that and keep the ride quality of the bike good. So I was impressed. They even made the down tube a little bit stiffer, probably because they had to sort of over-engineer it for the big hole that they have now in the down tube. Honestly, that was a really cool feature, and that's one reason that I would be like, oh man, I kind of want to buy this bike. If you do have the previous version of the Caledonia-5, like, that's actually a really good bike, and maybe you don't upgrade to this bike. But if you have an R5 or an S5, or you have something else from another brand that's a super racy bike, and you're like, man, you know, it would be nice to get something that's a little more compliant, something that I could go ride really long distance. I got a ride on Saturday morning, we're meeting up at 6 a.m., we're going 150 miles, doing 10,000 feet of vert. This bike's gonna be better for that, and it's gonna feel better. So I would say this is more targeted towards people that might have a really racy bike, and they want to get something a little more compliant, a little more comfortable. Or if you want to get into, you know, riding in the fast group ride, and right now you're kind of like on an older bike, this would be a great bike for that, because it can do those fast group rides, it can do a race if you want to do it, but then it can also go out and ride for 100 miles as you're building up those miles. So like, this bike is awesome for anybody that's has a really good race bike, wants to get more of an endurance bike, or somebody that wants to get into a more high performance bike.
So you've talked about its performance, how it rides. I know something that's important to me is looking cool. So we have this super cool color right here, but what are all the offerings we're looking at?
So the top of line build spec, like Dura-Ace Di2, SRAM Red, it's only 5 black, because that's a lighter frame, because it's black and they don't have to do as much paint stuff to it. But the one behind us is the Carmine. That's another color they have. So it's just 5 black and Carmine, and this is gonna be a little heavier frame, but man, does it look awesome.
Okay, so this bike looks cool. What are you riding on it?
Yeah, so we can go through build specs a little bit. The one that Cervélo sent us was the SRAM Force AXS build. That's the one you see behind us. I think one really nice thing about all these bikes and all the specs is they all come with power meters, which I personally love. And then a lot of them are going to come with the nice wheels. These are coming with the reserve wheels, the deeper wheels, so it's nice and aero, keeping that aerodynamic theme with the bike. But it does come in 6 different configurations that you can purchase, one of those being a frame set, the others being Dura-Ace Di2, red Axis ETAP, those are gonna be 12 grand. The one behind us is $8,700. So this is the Force AXS, but they also have an Ultegra Di2. And then the lowest build spec that they're putting on this is going to be the Rival AXS, and that actually comes with a power meter as well. And that one is $6,000. And then you can do a frame set. And if you want to do a frame set on this, it's a great option. We have a lot of parts in stock. Reach out to one of our Gearheads. They can help you build it up. We can do a custom build for you. So if Cervélo isn't specing exactly what you want, we can definitely make that happen for you.
Good to know. Okay, we've talked about its specs, its colors, all of that, how it rides, but I think the question everyone wants the answer to is how much it weighs.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go ahead and weigh it for you.
All right, Jess. So I think before I put it on the scale, we've got to guess the weight here.
Can we take the computer off?
No. So this has this is a 54. This has got the Dura-Ace pedals on it. It's got an Element Roam computer on it. We did take the flat kit out, so no flat kit on it.
Okay, I'm feeling like 19.5.
19.5. All right. I've not weighed this. I'm gonna go with 17 pounds 3 ounces.
Okay.
7.98 kilograms. 17 pounds 12 ounces.
I was really off. My arms are weak today. Thanks for walking us through this bike. I know I learned a lot about it. Now I'm considering getting a Cal 5. So if you guys liked this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave a comment below or reach out to a Gearhead. And we'll see you out there.
We'll see you out there on the roads.